All right. Hey, man, we're live, and it's been a while. What's up, man?
It's not much, man. It's been a minute. Good thing the off season's been a little bit slow with sports and everything, NBA finals and everything wrapped up. But man, it's been a minute. I miss talking to the people, miss talking to you about some sports. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, man, let's hit it.
Talk that talk, I ain't finna stop. And if you come for me, you better be equipped with a mask. Because my whole family been known to spin the block. See the word, see me here, and I ain't on my own. Whole team, sitting here, bet I ain't on my own.
I gotta say, I love the new intro music, man.
No, I do too. That was my brother Dez, doing his thing, doing his thing.
Yeah, it's dope. That's a dope little hook there. All right, man. So obviously, it's been like since April. You and I got super busy. I was doing college, still am doing college classes. Football got super busy. Work, life, all that kind of stuff
Yep.
took precedent for a while, and that's okay. It's not like we have thousands and thousands of viewers waiting on us or anything yet, but man, we do. Both of us enjoy this, and it's a good outlet and all that kind of stuff. So good to
Yes.
get back to it, man.
Yes, most definite, man. I love talking sports. Just want to get back into this. Try to get some consistency built. So we do apologize if you were anybody that was looking forward. I actually know a couple people that mentioned to me, "Hey, when's your next podcast and everything else coming out?" So yeah, we just got to get back on track, get this thing going. Life gets busy sometimes and
Yeah,
kind of pulls you away.
yeah. And believe it or not, like running a YouTube channel is a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, things that we missed. I mean, we did our own predictions of the NFL draft.
yes,
Um, But hell, we missed the NBA Finals, Boston
yep.
Celtics. I got to give it up to them. Congratulations to the green team over there
Screw
winning the
them.
championship. Yeah,
Screw them.
I
I
feel
hate
the
them.
same way. But most all-time banners in the NBA, most all-time championships now with 18.
Mm.
Um, so that's just what it is with them. Congrats to the Boston
I don't.
Celtics.
I don't acknowledge that because like most of them were in the dark ages.
Yeah, you got to give them their props. But this year
I
especially,
don't got to.
they were just they were what they were, man. They were what they were this year. I'm a Sixer fan. I don't like them either, but I got to give them their props and everything else on top of that.
Damn good team
So
this year. Damn good team for
they
sure.
were,
Like I
yes,
think honestly, all of their like all jokes aside, obviously Lakers and Celtics have a bitter rivalry, but all of their recent championships, they just had the best team in the league, man.
oh, most definitely. The injuries helped them out a little bit this year. I'll give them that. Injuries helped them out and got them
Availability is a
easier.
skill.
Can be some luck. Can be some luck with that. I'll just say that availability
Availability
can be
is a
some luck.
skill, man. It's a skill, brother. You
Yes,
gotta
but
be on the
it can
court.
also be some luck with that.
We got some
No, yeah,
audio
we're
run
good.
over there. We good?
Yeah, we're good. That was my fault. That was on me. That was on me.
All right, man. Yeah, so Celtics, congratulations to them. They built a team and they won a championship. Well deserved for them. Makes me sick to my stomach as a Lakers fan.
But hey, do you want to we'll get back to some NBA stuff. Do you want to touch on anything with the NFL draft when we did our predictions? We did our mock draft. That was the last show that we pretty much hit up. Um, there were some things.
I don't remember our predictions, but I thought we did pretty well because I know we were texting during the draft, and I thought we were pretty decent.
Yeah, we were pretty decent. I mean, who went a lot earlier than we thought? The Vikings quarterback, McCarthy. They took him a lot earlier than I thought they would. We did have him going to the Vikings. I just had him going with their second pick in the first round, and they took him
Yeah,
with their early pick.
yeah, but it wasn't like a huge surprise because we had discussed the possibility of them taking him there, and it was just kind of like, hey, neither one of us felt super strong about JJ McCarthy, and was like, well, maybe you can get him the second time you go around. I still think maybe that was the better thing to do, but hey, they wanted their guy, they got their guy. We'll see if that works out for them.
Most definitely. Were there any other big surprises that you had? I know Denver took Bo Nix in that draft.
That wasn't a huge surprise to me. Like once McCarthy went off the board, then you kind of knew quarterbacks were going to fly, and I was cheering for the quarterbacks to come off the board. That's what I wanted, just for the Chiefs. In order for the Chiefs to get somebody that they needed to fall to them, then I needed quarterbacks to come off the board, and that's the way it turned out. So I was happy.
Were you surprised the Bills traded with you guys so you can come up and get the receiver that you wanted? Were you shocked by that?
No, I know a lot of people were, and they want to make the big drama about, yeah, we traded with them to get Patrick Mahomes, and I know everybody was kind of, oh, they'll never trade with them again. They got fleeced or whatever. That's not the way business works, man. We have a good business relationship with the Bills. There's a lot of ties there between the front office and everything like that, and ultimately, the Bills don't feel like they got fleeced. They feel like they got what they wanted. We got what we wanted, and it was just a good business deal. And they turned around and got Josh Allen the next year, so it's not like they're, oh my God, we missed on Patrick Mahomes, and we're never going to trade with the Chiefs again. I wasn't surprised, and they'll continue to trade in the future. They get along well. I'm glad they traded. I mean, I have mixed feelings about Xavier Worthy, but we can get to that later.
Okay. No, but I was just gonna round up and ask you what your thoughts were with the Chiefs draft overall. How you felt with that?
The truth is, I didn't love it. I'm not in love with the draft. I think we took 3 offensive linemen in that draft, and to me, you have 4 returning starters on the offensive line. The only guy that we needed was a left tackle, and I felt like you could have got him. I was completely okay with the guy that we took to be the left tackle, but it was the other 2 picks at offensive line. It was like, okay, remind me a time last year when I was watching the Kansas City Chiefs and I said, oh my God, we need to fix the offensive line. Was never. Like maybe you're looking at Jawan Taylor and you're like, hey, too many penalties. But you were never looking at Jawan Taylor and saying the guy can't block. You were saying you need to clean up the penalties. And then to me, the interior offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs is top 3 at least. You have great from left guard over to right guard, fantastic pieces. And, I don't know. It didn't make sense to me to spend that much draft capital. To me, it's all that you're saying is that maybe you're not going to pay Creed Humphrey or Trey Smith, which they're great young offensive linemen that aren't going to cost that much. So my thoughts are like, okay, you're going to get rid of great and replace it with a bunch of I don't know. To me, I think they needed to take a couple more shots at wide receiver. That would make me a lot more comfortable with the Worthy pick. So overall, not all that happy.
Gotcha. I mean, for the Cowboys, I thought the Cowboys did well. I was satisfied. I wanted a running back possibly just as a spot in there. But I'm happy with the way they went. Went offensive line heavy to get that basically retooled a little bit. Hopefully that helps support the running game. We got Zeke back. So satisfied with that. I know one of our last podcasts that we did in the offseason was I wasn't going to talk any junk about the Cowboys, and I think we talked about when the schedule came out. My first thought was 17-0. 17-0, baby.
Oh, my God, dude. It made me sick. I was like, are you serious, man? I had to sit here and listen out. I'm not saying anything. Not until we're in the Super Bowl.
Nah, baby, I'm back.
Was there anything you were displeased with? Anything you took exception to, or anything that you really liked?
I was actually honestly really happy that we got Cooper Beebe. I think we even actually talked about it. I can't remember if we talked about it on air or off air. How that was actually someone I wanted the Cowboys to go after and I wanted them to get.
I'm fairly certain we talked about it on the show where I was like, dude, Cooper Beebe is a dude.
Yeah. So I was happy they were able to sneak him in the 3rd round. That was very pleasing for me.
Yep.
Guyton was someone I know Dallas had their eye on him.
Yeah.
But he's going to be a project, so I don't know where he's going to fully fit in yet. And that's kind of been the talk on Cowboys Sports Talk a little bit, is how soon does Guyton actually slide into the left tackle role at all?
I don't know how much of a project he is. I think he can start tomorrow at right tackle if you have a guy that can go over to left.
See, I don't. Yeah, Terrence Steele's the right tackle. I don't know if they like him at left. And so,
Gotcha.
I mean, Steele could end up being the swing tackle, but they just paid Steele, so that's why I think he's locked into that right side.
Yep.
With that a little bit.
Totally get that. A couple guys I would like to mention that maybe, people. I know we have a Washington Commanders fan amongst our people that watch, so a guy that I'll bring up for them, and I know I'm pretty sure I brought it up on the show, the pre-draft show or whatever, but Ben Sinnott, they ended up drafting Ben Sinnott at tight end, and that dude he's really, I don't know if you want to call him, he's really an H-back, because you can play him at fullback, you can play him at tight end, you can move him all over, you can even split him out wide. He's a utility player, so I think they'll really like Ben Sinnott in Washington. So excited for him. And yes, I know I'm a K-State guy and all that, but if anything, that should tell you I've seen a lot of him playing football. And I'm not every single K-State guy that comes out am I like, oh, he's going to be something, but I really like Ben Sinnott and Cooper Beebe. I think both of those guys have a long future in the NFL. So excited for them. One thing I would like to add is I know for the Chiefs, we ended up drafting a safety. His name escapes me right at the moment. And I know I said I'm kind of disappointed with that draft, and that is absolutely the case. What is this audio? Sorry, I had audio in my ear.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was. I heard it too. It's all good.
Sorry. My bad, man. I was looking around on NFL.com, and they want to give you all these ads and stuff. Jaden Hicks from Washington State was a safety that we ended up picking, and he was not supposed to be there in the fourth round. And I understand why they took him, because he was a guy that had first and second round grades, and then he's sitting there in the fourth round, and I understand them pulling the trigger on him. But also, we already have 3 really good safeties. You can't even get number 4 on the field. So I get it. You took value, but also I don't know when that guy will make it on the field. But yeah, just wanted to mention him.
Yep.
They made good picks, but I just think maybe they went for value a little too much.
I mean, I'll say the Eagles were a team I thought definitely came out as winners for what they needed really to get some help with. Which was secondary help. They came around with basically 2 first-round cornerbacks with their first 2 picks in the first round and the second round of their draft. So I thought the Eagles did a really good job landing Mitchell, who I think I actually had when we did our mock draft. I think I had Mitchell going top 10 to Atlanta, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Somewhere right in there.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenyon Mitchell went way lower than we thought. Cooper DeJean went way lower than we thought. Both of them went to the Eagles, and I was kind of looking at that like, really? They got 2 of the best corners in the draft back-to-back?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah.
So they're going to be set. I mean, they might not may have a huge impact this year, but it sets their secondary up at least to where they can keep going forward. And I hate to say it, the Eagles front office is doing its thing.
Dude, they had a nasty draft. They had a nasty draft. Another guy on their draft board that they ended up taking was Will Shipley, and I think he's a problem.
Yes, I forgot. They took him also later in that draft.
Yep.
Yeah, yep. So.
And then Jeremiah Trotter Jr. needs to go home. He needs to go home. So that's the second year in a row where we've seen one of these legacy players go to the team where their dad played. Like the Steelers took the corner. They took the corner that his dad was a linebacker for Pittsburgh. I forget his name right
now. Wasn't Harrison, was it?
No, it's the other. He played with Harrison. played on the other side of Harrison, right? Like, I can't think of his name right now. It's driving me nuts.
Not Greg
But,
Lloyd you're talking about.
no,
Or only the guy I can think of is Kirkland then. So it's not none of them, but not
no,
sure.
it's not none of them. I'll figure it out. But yeah, go ahead and take over. I'll look that up.
Yeah. But yeah, the Eagles are something they were loaded. The Washington Commanders, as far as a rivalry to the Cowboys, they came out and got their quarterback who they've been looking for. The New York Giants actually surprised me by going wide receiver first to a point because I thought they should have went O-line to get it a little bit more solidified in front of their QB. I mean,
That name we were looking for is Joey Porter Jr. By the way.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. Joey Porter Jr. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So the Eagles come back and they get Jeremiah Trotter, who played for the Eagles, of course.
Yep. So. And I actually did want the Cowboys to draft him just so Jeremiah Trotter had to root for the Cowboys. Only reason I wanted it. That's. Yep. I wanted the Cowboys to draft Trotter Jr. and Jerry Rice's son, just for those reasons. Just for those reasons. But
you know,
they didn't take
Rice. Can we talk about Rice? Like, I don't understand why he dropped because he went in the 7th round.
Yeah.
A lot of people had a 2nd round pick on this guy, and yes, he's not, a speedster. Neither was his dad. But I don't understand the precipitous fall. Like, okay, maybe he's not a 2nd rounder, maybe he's not a 3rd rounder. But once you start getting down in that 4th and 5th round pick, I'm like, guys, take him off the board. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what teams saw that they didn't like because he's a little, I don't know, raw, I guess, but which is kind of weird for being Jerry Rice's kid, I guess. But at the same time, I don't know. I would have liked to have taken a chance on him. And then, another guy the Eagles took was Johnny Wilson from Florida State that went in the 6th round, the 6'7" receiver.
Yep.
That's another piece on offense that he's one of those hybrid guys. Can you talk from a defensive perspective of having a guy that is multiple in positions like that and how challenging that is? Looking down at the huddle and saying, okay, well, Johnny Wilson's out there. He might play receiver. He might play tight end. He might line up. Who knows where? Can you talk about that from a defensive perspective?
I mean, I guess it's going to depend on what I got on my defensive side to kind of try to help take that guy away or this guy's full ability. Because, I mean, if he's 6'7" and can't run routes that well,
right?
I just know I got to watch him on certain type routes that he's really going to run, if you know what I mean with that type of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But even like Ben Sinnott, right? Like, these guys that have multiple positions that they can play, if they reach their full potential, which is a big if, when you're out there and you can say, okay, well, I don't know whether they're going to play that like 21 personnel or they're going to play that like 12 personnel or they're going to play that like even 13 personnel.
Well, I guess I'll put it like this. What's the name of the guy? I don't know why his name's escaping me. The Saints quarterback that plays all the multiple positions.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Damn.
His name's escaping me.
Starts with a T,
but, his name's escaping me. But anyways, the way I'd look at it is how great of a player is he to make that big of an impact on stuff? Or is he just going to be is he just going to be the gadget guy? You know what I mean? Because otherwise I'm just going to play my defense straight up if he's not the multiple. If he's not Percy Harvin. Like, even though that guy's 6'7", Percy Harvin was a difference maker to where, okay, Percy Harvin's going to play receiver. He's going to line up in the backfield. I don't know how they're going to use him type deal.
I guess as an offensive guy, I'm looking at Johnny Wilson and I can put him out there and maybe I'm running 11 personnel or maybe I'm running 12.
Yeah.
But
I guess for the NFL, the NFL nowadays, most teams are running a 4-2 package anyway. They're running a nickel package for the most part.
So
as their base alignment.
I guess that's what I'm looking at as a play caller is if I put him out there and you play me in your nickel, why wouldn't I put him at more of an H and play it as a 12 a 12 personnel package that you're playing with your nickel.
Yeah.
Is that not an advantage?
It is if he's, like I said, if he's a difference maker to me. But if he's not a difference maker, it's not going to make a difference. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to depend on how he develops. Like, I mean, it is. It's just going to depend on how he develops and things like that.
I would hope
sometimes
at 6'7", your big ass could block a nickelback.
You would hope. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You would hope, but if he's not a blocker, he's not a blocker. You know what I mean? So that's why it's just kind of one of them things. If he's not a blocker, I'm not going to worry about if he's in. If I'm going to have to run this type of personnel against the guy. I'm going to stay with the main things I got to take away. And if this guy ends up being the person that beats me, okay, maybe I'll start making some adjustments to that. And then maybe that takes me out of everything else, that because the Eagles got so many weapons anyway, that this guy honestly is going to be my last concern going into this year coming up anyway, I should say, with him being as a rookie. He's going to be my last concern about what I got to worry about with whatever the Eagles got going on.
Yeah, I 100% get you there. I guess I'm looking into the future a little bit and kind of projecting. And maybe this is even late this year once he develops a little bit, or maybe it's next year or 2 years from now, when he's in his third year. I'm just kind of thinking him and Ben Sinnott and a couple of other guys that came out in this draft, they really give you the ability as an offensive play caller to play those personnel games where you guys on the defensive side, you like to make sure you have the right personnel package out there to match the offense. But if I got guys like that, then you're kind of stuck saying, well, I don't know whether they're going to come out and run a 2 tight end set or they're going to come out and 4 wide receiver set. You know?
I mean, I do. I get that. But I guess me as a defensive coordinator, I worry about that stuff, yes. But I'm also going to look at the plays that you're running out of your personnel sets a lot more too. And so that's what I'm saying. It's all going to depend on that a little bit. And how you're using that guy and things like that. So for me, that's what it kind of comes down to. It's like I said, Taysom Hill, he's very athletic. He gets used all over the place. But does he change what a defense wants to do? Because they line him up at tight end. They can put him at quarterback. They can put him at receiver. And yes, he'll probably get a play here and there off, which is what he does because he's an athlete and he's a good player. But does he fully change the scope of what the Saints are going to do on their offense, if that makes any sense to you? You know what I mean?
Oh, it does. It does. It makes sense. So, and they got Trevor. Let's see. They got Trevor Keegan out of Michigan late, who's a big guard. That fits their play style. So, I don't know. Yeah, the Eagles had a really, really good draft. I'll give them that for sure. Who else do you feel like had a good draft?
I know they're saying the Steelers had a really good draft. They got the top-ranked center, or one of the top-ranked centers I know for this draft. I've seen people saying that they were winners. The Washington Commanders, it's all going to come down to the quarterback for me on how their draft is. Is Jaden Daniels the real deal? And if he's not, we'll see. So to me, that comes down to how their draft isn't going to end up being. I'm curious what you think of the Raiders, because to me, the Raiders are your guys' only real competition in that division. And they did not get a quarterback.
It's funny you say that, because I literally just had their draft pulled up right now, and I was about to bring up the same exact team. And we'll just flip over real quick and show their draft. So there's their picks right there.
Because they went tight end first 2 picks, right?
No, they did not. They went tight end and then guard.
Okay.
They listed him as
and then
guard,
I know they came.
He plays center as well, so it'll be interesting to see where he plays. They're listing him as a guard, though. So,
okay.
I mean, my true actual feelings on this, and it's hard for me to admit, is I think maybe the Raiders finally made sense and they drafted the good players. They just drafted players that are good football players. And they let the draft come to them a little bit, and they didn't overdraft anybody that I can think of, except maybe some late swings that maybe ultimately don't matter. But just looking at their draft, there's 3 guys that were way high on my list, that they got. Brock Bowers, Jackson Powers Johnson, and
Yep.
Dylan Laub is a late running back that I really liked. He was high up on my running back list. It just so happens that running backs are taken late nowadays. So, and then they got DJ Glaze out of Maryland, the O tackle, which, he was decent. I think maybe, tackles went at a rate that we really haven't talked about this. Tackles went at a crazy rate. Like they were just going and going and going. It was tackle after
Yes.
tackle after tackle. So for them, I think maybe they did overdraft DJ Glaze, but it was out of necessity. Like there was tackles just gone. So they needed to hurry up and get a guy. So I don't fault them for that. They got a corner out of Mississippi State. They got Tommy Eichenberg out of Ohio State, which I really like at linebacker. And I can see their head coach's fingerprints on this draft, and he just kind of said, "Hey, this isn't the best quarterback draft anyway. I'm going into my first year as a head coach. I'm not going to go put my job on the line for a quarterback that I don't love."
Yep.
I like it. You went and get Brock Bowers. I like Brock Bowers, man. That dude should be a generational tight end. It should be. We'll see.
Yep, he should be. I mean, they got Gardner Minshew who can hold down the fort. I mean, you saw what he did with the Colts last year. He almost got them into the playoffs, and I actually think this. We'll see what the Raiders do at running back because they lost Jacobs.
Josh
Jacobs. Yeah, they lost Josh Jacobs. He went to Green Bay. So we'll have to see what the Raiders fully end up doing at running back position back there a little bit. Because I think that'll be a big loss for him. But Pierce has this team playing kind of to his identity, I want to say.
Yep.
Aggressive, physical. So that's the honest reason why. I know Harbaugh's in San Diego or Los Angeles, my fault, with the Chargers. But it's going to take him a minute, I think. It's going to take him a minute to get that team.
I'm not worried. I hope I don't eat these words someday, okay? But Harbaugh is not the one I'm worried about. I don't think that him going to Los Angeles was a good idea. I think that may be the end of his NFL coaching career ever. Like, I don't think it's going to go well. I don't think it's going to go well. What are you going to do? You live in a world where you got to deal with the Chiefs all the time, and Patrick Mahomes is not going away anytime soon. So no matter what, even if you end up winning the division eventually, you're still going to have to deal with that every single year. The Raiders are going to get better, and they're building that as a defensive football team that you're going to have to deal with, and they're not going to go get punked by your run game. And you just look at the defensive minds in that division, right? You got Spagnuolo that you got to go deal with all the time. You think he's just going to let you punk him?
I'm just the only thing I'll say about Harbaugh is that man has won at every stop he has been at. He has done it, and so I've got to believe in him. I have to believe in him. He's done it at every single stop he's been at. Just for me, from that standpoint, until he doesn't do it, I got to believe in that he's going to do it.
He has, but if you look at his team with the Niners, they had linebackers galore. They had a good run game, and he kind of already had some of that when he showed up. It wasn't like he built all that from the ground up, man. He inherited some of that from what's his name? God, I can see his face. Can't win with them. Can't play with them.
Oh, Singletary. Mike Singletary. Yeah.
He inherited some of that from Mike Singletary. That team was already a good defensive football team.
The
Chargers aren't. They have some good defensive football players. They're not a good defensive football team. At least I don't think of them.
But you don't think Harbaugh's gonna? You don't believe Harbaugh can harness that?
I mean, what are you doing? And then I think he can. I think he's a great coach, but you got a little bit more difficult of a challenge than you had in San Francisco, I think. And the Broncos aren't going to stay bad forever either. You got some really good coaching in the AFC West. You got Sean Payton you got to deal with. The dude is, say what you want to say. He's offensively minded and he's brilliant. And then you got some really good defensive minds in that division. So I don't think it's going to be as easy for Harbaugh as everybody thinks it is. He's not the one that I think is going to emerge as some great coaching talent out of there. It's actually your boy in Las Vegas. I like him a lot. He's the one I worry about the most. And with the draft that he did, you can see that he's got the long game in mind and he's drafting good football players and he's going to set that team up for success in the long term. And I like the guys that he went and got. But since we're talking about him, let's look at the Chargers draft real quick because I want to see what Harbaugh did with that first draft.
I believe they got Joe Alt, I believe, wasn't it?
Yep, they went and got Joe Alt, which you can't argue with that. That's a great pick.
No.
And then you got Ladd McConkey in the second round, which I think he's an underrated receiver, great route runner, great feet, faster than people think. But then you went and you knew he was going to take a Michigan player. You knew he was going to take. He took Junior Colson at linebacker, which I'm kind of out of all the Michigan players that were available, I'm kind of meh on Colson.
Gotcha.
Do you feel different on him?
I'll be honest. I didn't watch much Michigan this year, so I can't give an honest opinion on the guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't watch much Michigan, so I can't. That's just what it is. I can't give an honest opinion on him.
He went and got 2 corners. He went and got another D tackle. He got Kamani Vidal out of Troy, the running back. He did get Brendan Rice late in the 7th round. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he got Cornelius Johnson from guess where, Michigan. So, I mean, he's got guys that he's familiar with. We can show it real quick here. Kind of see Joe Alt, Ladd McConkey, Junior Colson. I'm not going to attempt this dude's name. Still out of Maryland, Hart, who I really like, Cam Hart, Kamani Vidal, Brendan Rice, and Cornelius Johnson. So I don't know. It's okay. We'll see. It could turn into a really great draft. He had a lot of picks, and he took a lot of swings. And that's cool.
I mean, the way he's setting this offense up, Harbaugh, is he's setting it up to where he's going to find out what Justin Herbert's about because he's gotten rid of they've gotten rid of his offensive weapons for the most part are gone. Let's be honest. They got rid of Keenan Allen. The running back's gone. They're starting running back right now is listed as Gus Edwards possibly. So we'll see how that goes. But they're going to have a solid offensive line. The offensive line is going to be solid.
It's old Gus Edwards too, man.
Yeah, I know. But and they got J.K. Dobbins. It's like they took the whole old Baltimore Raven running back room and brought it over to the Chargers, basically.
Your starting wide receivers are Quentin Johnston, who has not played well for them yet. I mean, he's young still. I actually like Quentin Johnston, so I'm not going to talk too much trash, but he's done nothing for you so far. And if you're a Chargers fan, you probably don't like him, and you're probably calling him a bust at this point. And then you got Joshua Palmer, who's been a very good journeyman player. But that's kind of what he is. You wouldn't want him as a number 2, in my opinion.
No.
You got DJ Shark, who's another journeyman player. And then you're talking about Brendan Rice, Cornelius Johnson. Those are your receivers.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey, he'll be their slot receiver, and I think he'll do well. He'll be a lot. I think they're going to use him a lot like Michigan used Roman Wilson. So you'll see that.
Yeah, but, I mean, they'll be coming up. I don't see anyone challenging the Chiefs fully this year, other than the Raiders.
I think the Raiders happen. Eventually, it's going to happen. We're not going to know when it's going to happen. It can happen anytime.
And I guess when I say challenging the Chiefs, I mean they'll play the Chiefs tough, probably possibly steal another game when they play head to head. It's just how the Raiders handle the rest of their schedule is what I don't know is what's going to happen with that.
They have Will Dissly listed as their starting tight end over Hayden Hurst, which is a little surprising to me.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. I noticed that too.
J.K. Dobbins, which, You mentioned him. I actually like him. I like Isaiah Spiller too. So, their running back room isn't bad. It's not good either, though.
No. But yeah, they'll be the team that they're going to be. We'll see. We'll see how they end up playing out. I don't know what to say about them. We'll see how they end up playing out.
They're gonna be a team. They're gonna be for sure, man.
Yeah. They're gonna be a defensive-minded team. Unfortunately.
I mean, obviously, Khalil Mack played out of his mind last year, and Bosa, he's still a Bosa, but he's never played up to expectations.
The one thing I'll say Harbaugh does and seems to have a tendency to do is get his quarterbacks to play above their ability.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can do that with Herbert.
Yeah. I like Justin, so I think that's a big reason why he took the job. So let's see what happens with that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else with the NFL draft. Anything else you want to touch on with that?
You know what? Let's just look at the 49ers because they're trying to make it back to the Super Bowl, and their window is not wide open because, we've seen all the drama with Brandon Ayuk this offseason, and they got a bunch of dudes that they eventually aren't going to be able to keep on their roster just because of money. Yep. So let's take a look at their draft real quick.
Yep.
Ricky Pearsall, number 1 in the first round, wide receiver. Were you surprised they went wide receiver instead of offensive line because they needed offensive line?
Yeah. With the way the offensive line run came in the NFL draft, doesn't shock me as much, especially now hearing what's going on with Brandon Ayuk. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they're obviously not leaning towards re-signing Ayuk, because otherwise I think that probably might be a deal that got done with all the tensions that's going, and they took a receiver to basically kind of set up to either replace him or replace Debo if they're going to make a move with Debo. Not sure. I'm not saying they're going to, but it's a possibility. But they're lining themselves up to make sure they're covered as far as that pick goes.
Yep. All 3 of those receivers are not – well, all 4 of them now because they added Ricky Pearsall are not staying there.
No.
So, yeah, it was
at least past next year. Yeah, at least past next year. They might all stay this year.
Yep. Yeah, they'll be there. I think they will be there this year. I don't foresee a trade coming before the season. But in the future, all 4 of those guys aren't going to stick around, And I'm talking about Juwan Jennings too, just to be clear. Third and Juwan, that dude he's a guy. He made some big time plays in the Super Bowl. So I think they're counting him in their future too. So, but if you look at their draft here, I'll switch over. Ricky Pearsall, Renardo Green out of Florida State, who I really like at corner. And then they went Dominic Punai out of Kansas, who can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. Malik Mustafa, the safety out of Wake Forest, who I also like. One of the guys that I really love, they went Isaac Guerendo out of Louisville, super fast, super athletic, full halfback. Jacob Cowing, who is I'm not huge on, but they took 2 wide receivers. Jarrett Kingston was the other guard they took in the 6th round, and then Tatum Bethune, the linebacker out of Florida State. Anybody stick out on that list to you?
I'm a little bit surprised they went with 2 wide receivers, I guess, more than anything else. Yeah. Taking the 2 wide receivers, but like I said, I think that's more of a market price thing with the wide receiver room. It's kind of where I think that's more of a message to that type of deal, to where they're basically under the impression of, and I think this is part of what Kyle Shanahan's thinking is. I think Kyle Shanahan has respect for Debo and for Ayuk, but sometimes you get offensive coordinators that are under the mindset of, I can put together plays that are going to get people open. I don't need to overpay these guys.
Yeah, I get it. Honestly, man, it's kind of funny that the Chiefs and the Niners had the drafts that they did, because had you showed me the 2 drafts before the draft and said, okay, which team do you think this was and which team do you think that was, I probably would have swapped them. I probably would have said, okay, the 49ers draft, that's the Chiefs draft. We needed 2 wide receivers. We went and got Dominic Punai, who can play all over. You got a corner to replace Snead. You got to deal at running back because we needed a running back. Like I would have looked at that and been pretty happy. Even though I said, Jacob Cowing at wide receiver isn't my guy, I still would have been happy with a 4th-round pick at wide receiver. Okay, we got 2 receivers. Maybe they're not the 2 guys that I wanted the most, but they're 2 wide receivers. I would have been pretty happy with the 49ers draft as a Chiefs fan. And then I think the 49ers should have drafted more like the Chiefs did, to be completely honest. Like, what are you doing? You need offensive linemen and you need them badly. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just like I said, the way that run happened on the offensive line, I think what they were looking at possibly kind of messed it up.
Yeah.
So I think they might have pivoted a little bit and then just went with who they felt was best on the board, I should say, is kind of probably the approach that they kind of took with that.
Yep. So my name out of this draft class for the 49ers of guys to keep an eye on is Isaac Guerendo. I think we're going to be talking about him in a few years. I think he's going to be a dude. Yeah.
Isaac Guerendo?
Yep. I think he's going to be a dude. I think he landed at the perfect team, actually. So.
Gotcha.
I would have loved to seen him in the Chiefs colors, but I'll be excited to see what they do with him over in San Francisco.
Okay.
And then I don't know, anybody else? One quick one before we go. Let's just
one team you want to go.
Yeah, let's go look at the Ravens real quick just to see what they did. Ravens. So they went Nate Wiggins with the speed at corner. Roger Rosengarten at tackle, which is a good pick. Adisa Isaac at edge. They got Tez Walker out of North Carolina, who's a speed guy at wide receiver. He's got some drop problems. But then they got TJ Tampa way down in the 4th round. A lot of guys were thinking TJ Tampa might sneak into the 1st or 2nd round. He made it all the way to the 4th round with the Ravens. So one of the best defenses in the league got better, I think, in my opinion.
Debatable about that because they lost some key players on defense. So,
who'd they lose? They kept their D tackle, didn't they?
They lost a linebacker to the Steelers, and I thought they lost a D tackle to Seattle when the defensive coordinator went.
Yeah, they lost. The linebacker Patrick Queen, right?
Yeah.
LSU. Yeah.
Yep. He went to the Steelers, and I thought they also lost one of their D tackles.
They always reload at linebacker. I thought they.
No, they do.
I thought they kept the D tackle. Honestly, I don't think they were ever really happy with Patrick Queen. They drafted him pretty high. I don't think he ever lived up to their expectations.
He had a really good year last year. I'll say that. I don't know how the rest of his career has been for the Ravens, but he had a really good year last year. But I mean, the whole Ravens team had a great year last year. I mean, it says they lost 15 free agents in the offseason. The Ravens did. Just looking at it here. Let me see who they're.
Do you have a list of names?
Yep. Give me just a second. I'm trying to pull those up really fast. List of players gone. They lost Patrick Queen. 3 starting offensive linemen. They lost that.
Ooh, who'd they lose on the offensive line?
Kevin Zeitler and John Simpson.
Okay.
2 offensive linemen. They lost Davion Clowney. He's gone. We already talked about Gus Edwards. So, yeah, they lost some players a little bit.
Yeah, they lost Gus Edwards. Yeah, they lost Devin Duvernay, who was he's electric returning kicks.
Yep.
They lost Ronald Darby. Yeah. John Simpson he's a good player, man. He's a good player for sure. They lost Tyler Huntley. We knew that was going to happen. Jadeveon Clowney. Rock Yassin was the corner they lost, and J.K. Dobbins, who was often injured. All right. Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they lost their defensive coordinator. Don't ever underestimate that when you lose your coordinator like that.
That's the big one. I don't see any of the names on here. I mean, Ronald Darby was a big loss, but you drafted a really high corner that should be phenomenal. So I don't know. They lost a couple corners, but we'll see. Jadeveon Clowney, that's a loss too, I suppose. I
Yeah.
just think of him as kind of a little bit aging, but he has played well.
Yep.
So, all right, man. Anybody else in the draft? Or are we kind of done with that?
Yeah, I'm good on the draft, man. I'm good.
Yep. What's next, man?
I just wanted to get your quick off-season thoughts on the Chiefs really fast.
I'm not super stoked. I'm just not super stoked, man. I am not one of these Chiefs fans that worships the ground that they walk on and says trust in Veach and these guys all are smarter at football than I am. I'm not. I'm sorry. Like I see these guys as human beings. I think they make mistakes. I think they've made some mistakes this offseason. I think with the wide receiver room that you had last year, I think you needed to nuke that room. I think you needed to make some big changes. And I mean, you added two guys. You added Brown, Hollywood Brown, and you added Worthy, which they're both, in my opinion, boom or bust. Like,
okay, real quick question on that. Do you think they're upgrade? Do you think they're upgrades?
I guess that's what I'm saying. Potentially, they're upgrades. I would rather. I would rather say that I know they're upgrades. I would rather be confident in the guys that I got and say, I know I upgraded my wide receiver room. I don't know that.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this into perspective from trying not to be a hater.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that my team that just won the Super Bowl in what was considered a rebuilding year,
yes,
added a ton of speed to a wide receiver room where I had a bunch of receivers dropping passes all the time. My biggest loss was my starting cornerback, which that was your biggest loss, was your starting cornerback on defense. But you're not happy fully with what's going on in the offseason.
I'm not. And I'll tell you why. Like, the speed is great. Like, don't get me wrong. The speed is phenomenal. And I'm excited about the potential there. But it is still just potential. Because, let's be honest, Worthy is 175 pounds soaking wet.
He is.
And that dude, like, we talked about it. You've talked about it. You've been one of the main ones saying, oh, those speed receivers, those guys that run 4.2s at the combine aren't good receivers. Worthy's a little bit different.
There's only been one in history. Only one in history has been a 1,000-yard receiver.
Worthy's a little different because when you put on the tape, you can tell that Worthy is a football player first and not just a track guy. You can tell that he runs good routes. You can tell that he gets in and out of cuts and that he has great feet and that he understands football and he's a student of the game and all that good stuff. But he's already had issues staying on the field just between OTAs and all that kind of stuff. And, like, I'm not super excited, man. Like, between him and Marquise Brown, I think they're very, very similar players. Marquise Brown's 180 pounds. Marquise Brown has been injured. Marquise Brown has been a guy that, has he ever really lived up to his draft position? Not really. So
yeah, just his rookie year. His rookie year was his best, most standout year, I'd say.
Yeah. I'll tell you this, like, it's going to be one of the most electric and fun offenses on Madden. Because, I mean, seriously, like, if you play Madden at all, you're going to come out and you're going to play the Chiefs, and they're going to line up McCole Hardman, Xavier Worthy, and Marquise Brown, who are all 97 speed, 98 speed, 99 speed, and they're going to say good luck. But
yep. And then don't forget about Travis Kelce back out there.
Yep. So, no, I mean, I get it. I think about the potential, and, oh, yeah, by the way, you still have Rashee Rice, who hasn't got suspended yet, and at this point, I don't know if it's going to be this season. I think it might be a next season suspension. So, I mean, they do have weapons. Rashee is an established receiver now. They're still talking about Kadarius Toney like he might play well. And the dude, I've fought for him and I've argued for him. Like, it's just, to me, there's no real sure deals except Rashee Rice, and he can't be called a sure deal because we don't even know if he's going to play this year. Is he going to get an 8-game suspension? Is he going to? Who knows? We don't know.
Yeah,
So,
I think he's going to get 6. I think he's going to get a 6-game suspension. And the NFL likes to take its time on dropping down these decisions. I mean, they did it with Zeke that
yeah.
one year. He got suspended for the games. They dropped that in the middle of the season, so I expect that. What's your feel about Luis Reese Zammit for the Chiefs, the rugby player?
I'm so glad you asked me that. You have no idea. I am so glad you asked me that. Can we please, for the love of God, stop talking about this guy? I am so tired of hearing about this dude. Like, he is a phenomenal rugby player. He's like 6'3". I want to say he's 190, something around there. So he's a little thin.
Mm-hmm.
They have he runs a 4.440, by the way.
Okay, I was going
Everybody,
to ask. I thought I heard a 4.2 or 4.3. I thought I heard on this guy.
so here's the real story on him. Like everybody likes to play a clip of him playing professional rugby where he got up to like some ridiculous high miles per hour of like 24 or 25 miles an hour, something super high. But here's the thing. The rugby field is much wider than a football field. It's
Yes.
longer than a football field. It's much more of a wide open game. You're not playing with pads on, and you can get up to full speed. You aren't doing that on an American football field. You're not doing it. You're, number one, going to wear pads. Number two, you have a playbook this thick. You know, in rugby, you have 12 plays. You have 12 plays, man.
Yep.
It's like junior high football.
I'm hearing
So
he's going to be one of Mahomes' favorite targets. That's what I'm hearing.
he doesn't even play receiver right now. He's a running back right now.
Is he? Okay. I'm just hearing he's going to be one of Mahomes' favorite targets out there. I'm not following it that close, but
here's my thing on it, man. If he makes the 53, I will be shocked if he makes the 53. And if he makes the 53, it'll be as a return man. Because that's where people that are really into football are making the argument of, oh, well, you can stash him on the roster as a fourth running back, and he'll probably never see the field on offense, and that's fine. But with the new changes in the kickoff rules that are very similar to rugby rules, he'll be this huge advantage for you to kind of teach your team and help them learn how to do this rugby style kick return. So that's the big argument for him.
Gotcha.
For me, this is my flat out argument, and I get a little passionate and frustrated about it, man. Like, honestly, here's the thing: you get a kid that's 6'3". He's under 200 pounds. He runs a 4.440. That's his official 40 time. Everybody can say 4.2 or whatever. He didn't run that. That wasn't what he ran. He ran a laser timed 4.4. How many high school kids right now in the state of Texas are 6'3", 190 pounds, and run a 4.3? A bunch of them. They're not going to make an NFL roster, man. Like, here's the deal. His competition is a bunch of football players that have played football since they were in 6th grade. He's got to learn a whole game in an off season. I just don't see it, man.
All right, man.
It's another one of those off season, man. Fans get all, oh, we found the jewel we found a diamond in the rough. Well, prove it.
We'll see, man. I'll be keeping an eye on this guy because I just want to see how he does, and I want to see your reaction if he shows out in preseason. I just want to see your reaction if this guy does show up.
I know I've been super negative. I've been super negative. It's not my frustration with him. I actually like him. I like him. I like everything he said. I like everything he's done. And he's been really professional. Obviously, he was already a professional athlete, so he knows how to be a professional athlete, and that's one of the good things he has going for him. But I think I'm just more frustrated with the fans. Like, they're just crowning this kid, and he's gonna be a receiver, and he's gonna do that. Dude, football's hard. Football's really hard, and there's a lot to learn. And don't put too much pressure on this kid. I think that's why I'm frustrated. As a coach, I'm looking at it like, you guys are putting a lot of pressure on this 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid that might not even make the 53-man roster. So let's slow down. That's my message. But if he does well, I'm excited. I'm all behind him. I don't see it, man. We'll see.
Gotcha. You still got me?
Yep. Your
All right,
video
sorry.
frozen.
Yeah, that's what I just noticed. The video busted up, but I was just curious if you just got me. You still have me or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
I
I'm still
can.
here audio wise.
I can hear you. I was trying to blather on until it got fixed, but yeah. Anyway,
gotcha. Just got me smiling. Got a big old smile up there. So all right.
Yeah, Reese Hammond, I'm pulling for him, man. But there is a part of me that just wants all the rabid fans that think he's the next great thing to shut up. Oh.
Gotcha. Nope. I tried to take it down to see if it would come back up, but we're good. We're good.
Okay. All right. Yep, that's my thing. So about the Cowboys, how do you feel about their offseason?
I'm actually good with it. Media, of course, making a big deal about the players that are unsigned right now. Dak Prescott going to the final year of his contract. CeeDee Lamb looking for an extension. Micah Parsons can officially sign an extension, but of course, Cowboys haven't re-signed him yet. But you know what? I wouldn't re-sign Dak yet until he proves to me he can get you to the NFC Championship game. I was going to ask you an approach that I kind of consider the Alabama football approach.
Mm-hmm.
Would you build a team with just outright talent and pay your offensive linemen, your skill players, everything else, build that up, and then draft a quarterback, but not overpay your quarterback to where he eats up your cap to where you have to change out those other players? Or would you be okay with finding a quarterback, keeping him, and then even if it takes a journeyman quarterback that can keep your team really good and you're not overpaying, would you go that route with it?
I would not, and here's why. Because I think in order to win the Super Bowl, from what we have seen, you either need to be an absolute elite defense or you need to be elite at quarterback. That's what we've seen.
Okay.
I mean, look at the last however many Super Bowls. And granted, a whole bunch of those are Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but I think that's also for a reason.
And I'm not saying not pay a quarterback. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
But is there any chance you can pull up a top 10 list of the highest paid quarterbacks right now, the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks?
I would love to do that, and I can. If you want to just talk for a few minutes, I can get it pulled up.
Yep. And the reason why I say that is because I believe if you look at this list, I don't know if any of them are Super Bowl champions. Maybe Matthew Stafford if he's on that list. I'm not 100% sure.
I know at least two of them on the list that are Super Bowl champions.
And it's like I said, I'm not saying don't pay your quarterbacks. That's not what I'm saying whatsoever or anything to that effect with it.
Right.
But what I'm saying is if you can talk with your quarterback, and I'm not saying don't guarantee a great guy money or great leader money, because I think part of being an NFL quarterback is being a great leader, not necessarily how great your arm is or anything like that. But being able to rally and keep everybody calm and do those type of things and have the team believe in you as a player. So I believe that part of it's really big on being a quarterback in the NFL or just being a quarterback in football in general. But like they're saying Dallas Cowboys should pay Dak $60 million a year. And to me, I'm just like, at the cost of what? You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I know where you're going. And I do agree with the argument and the premise, and I totally understand where you're at. Okay, so I misspoke because Stafford is not in the top 10.
Okay.
Actually, if you wanted to guess who was number 10 on the list, who would you say that would be?
Does it have Kirk Cousins' current contract in there?
It does.
Okay. So he's not 10. I know he's like top 5 now, isn't he? Kirk Cousins?
He's not. I'm going to switch over to the list. We don't have to play the guessing games. Let's just show it over here. I'll flip it over. Hold on one second. Yep. Okay, we're all good. All right, so if you can see that, you have Joe Burrow number 1 at $55 million. tied with Trevor Lawrence at $55 million. Jared Goff at number 3 with 53. Herbert, who's never won a damn thing. Jackson, Hurts, who at least went to a Super Bowl. Kyler Murray, Deshaun freaking Watson, Kirk Cousins, and then Patrick Mahomes comes in at number 10. Josh Allen right behind him. Thoughts on that top 10? Hello? Did I lose you? Oh, man. I see that you're trying to talk, but we can't hear you right now. So I'm just going to keep talking here. Here's the big deal, man. Like, when you look at that list, Patrick Mahomes is number 10. That's a huge reason. You know, back when Patrick Mahomes first signed that 10-year contract, there was a whole bunch of really stupid people that were saying, oh, that's the end of the Chiefs. They'll never be able to afford to field a team. Patrick Mahomes made a really team-friendly deal, and it's kept them with the ability to field a football team on into the future. And out of the top 10, he still has a contract out to 2032. Now, 2032 is a void year, but the closest guy is Trevor Lawrence, who just signed with a 2031 void year. So that's kind of the model. And for all those people that want to be a Patrick Mahomes hater or whatever and say that he's being selfish with the money, he's absolutely not. He's taken the Tom Brady approach here and taken a way less money than he could demand. But you have guys like Joe Burrow, who he's been to a Super Bowl, never won. You've been Jared Goff. Hey, I think we maybe got you back, I hope.
All right, you got me?
Yeah, I got you back,
All right.
man. I was over here blathering on, trying to fill
you're good.
dead airspace. But what do you think? What do you think about the top 10 there, man?
So the one thing I'll say is I know the market changes. So the next quarterback up is the next quarterback that gets paid. I understand that, how the market works and everything else. But only 4 of those top 10 have made it to a Super Bowl. Only 1 of those top 10 have won a Super Bowl. And so I guess what I'm getting at is, do you just pay a quarterback just because they're next up in the market if they're not necessary? You know what I mean? It's one of those, it's a tough conversation because I know every team is afraid not to have a quarterback. I know that's the thought process of teams, is we can't go into a situation where we don't have a quarterback. But I kind of bring up the New York Giants situation where they chose to pay Daniel Jones the money. And would the Giants be better off having Saquon and just going with another journeyman quarterback over Daniel Jones?
Speaking of the Giants, have you watched the Hard Knocks offseason?
I haven't watched an episode, but I saw the clips of where they talk about Saquon. I've seen those clips.
It's a good show, man. I think episode 2 came out today. You should definitely watch it. But yeah, you make an excellent point. Like, teams like the Giants are stuck with Daniel Jones, who's been injured a lot, which they talk about in the show pretty candidly. Yeah, you're paying him a boatload of money. You're paying, guys like Kirk Cousins, which, I think honestly he probably is a top 10 quarterback in the league, but you're paying him a boatload of money. Is that going to make the Falcons a top 10 team?
Yeah, and I guess that's the equivalent of kind of what I'm going with. Do you think Kirk Cousins gets the Falcons any further than Gardner Minshew would? And yes. I guess that's you think so? I don't. Maybe a game, maybe an extra game better, maybe. So I guess that's just kind of where I'm going at with it.
The reason I said yes so quickly on the Falcons is because they have a lot of offensive weapons. They have a lot of dudes with capability right around him, and I think Kirk knows how to make use of that. Especially, they got a freak at tight end. They have a freak at tight end. So I'm interested in seeing, what's going on. But, you look at the Browns. I mean, they're sitting there paying Deshaun Watson a boatload of money with guaranteed money. They're stuck with that. They're stuck.
Yeah. And you look at what the Browns have done the previous 2 years without Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's been hurt for pretty much most of the past 2 years. And you look at how well the Browns have played without him because they have a great team built around him. And so I guess what I'm thinking is, let's say you draft a really good rookie quarterback in the draft. You get that guy basically for 5 years off his rookie contract. You can franchise tag him twice if you really wanted to. So you got him for 7. And then if he hasn't gotten you to where you need to go, or he's asking for this absurd amount of money and you have a great team built around him, you know what I mean? Do you let him walk and let him say, hey, I got a system here that's going to work. I don't necessarily need you.
Well, let's look at it a different way. Let's look at these top 10, not by quarterbacks necessarily, but by teams and their performance.
Okay.
Would you say the Bengals are a good football team?
Bengals are good. Joe Burrow might be the one exception that I have, because Bengals are good because of Joe Burrow. Like, there's no doubt about that. Joe Burrow, second year, gets the team to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's.
I think he's super overrated. I'm not gonna lie.
You think he's overrated? I don't know.
I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. That is not what I'm saying. I think he's an excellent quarterback. But there's a lot of people that put Joe Burrow's name in that top 3 list. Do you put his name in the top 3?
Okay. Arm talent-wise as a QB, no. Leadership and QB building the team up as a QB. See, I think, for me, in all honesty, QB to me is more – I really don't think there's much difference in most NFL quarterbacks as far as throwing the ball, arm talent. I don't believe it. Yeah, some guys have more zip on the ball. A lot of the difference is the courage a QB might have to just try to make a play and building up with the leadership.
Let's play a game.
All right.
If Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow, let's put that caveat on it because he wasn't healthy last year. Let's pretend that he was. A healthy Joe Burrow is on the Lions. Do the Lions go to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Do you really think so?
My opinion, yes. Yes, my opinion, yes.
Okay. Let's play.
I'm not a Jared Goff guy. I hate Jared Goff. Jared Goff, to me, I'm disappointed the Lions paid him. I'm not a Jared Goff guy.
Joe Burrow is a Raven. Do the Ravens go to the Super Bowl?
Not with the way the offensive coordinator called plays. I'll say that.
Joe Burrow is an Eagle. Do the Eagles fall apart like they did?
I don't think they fall apart the way they did. I'm not a huge Jalen. Jalen Hurts still has he has to prove it to me again. Jalen Hurts he's a prove it QB to me. So I don't think the Eagles fall apart that way.
You swap Joe Burrow for Josh Allen. Do the Bills beat the Chiefs and maybe go on to the Super Bowl?
I think so.
I don't.
Even though, okay, I'll say this though, it's kind of weird because the Bills don't lose because of Josh Allen.
Exactly.
So that's probably a 50-50 wash to me. That one's probably a 50-50 wash to me. The Bills don't lose because of Josh.
What about let's see. Who's another one?
Oh, you can say Dak. Dallas is in the Super Bowl if we got Burrow. I can tell you that now.
You think so?
Yeah, Dallas is there. You give Dallas Joe Burrow, Dallas is there. You know my feelings on Dak. I don't care what Dak's stats look like. I don't care the fact that he builds his stats up against the 12 teams that didn't have a winning record when the Cowboys played them.
Yeah.
And his stats look super good because of that. Because he's thrown for 4 or 5 touchdown passes and no picks against the Giants twice to give him 10 of his touchdowns, basically. I don't care.
Here's the big one. Here's the big one. I saved this one for last on purpose. And this I'm going to caveat this. This is not because I'm a Chiefs fan. If you look at the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver core last year, and you put Joe Burrow on the Kansas City Chiefs, do they win the Super Bowl?
Probably not, just because I think Mahomes is way ahead of Burrow still.
No, it's not.
That's my feelings on that. That's my feelings on that.
That's a one game and out the playoffs.
Yeah. So that's if they even make the playoffs. If they even make the playoffs with that squad.
Exactly. So I just don't think. My point is, I don't think Joe Burrow is in that same stratosphere. I don't think he's a top 3 dude. But you know,
Okay, but to be fair, I don't think any quarterback but Mahomes would have won the Super Bowl with that squad. So to me, Mahomes is top
I think
tier.
I think a healthy Aaron Rodgers could have probably got it done.
I don't believe so. I don't
You don't think
think
so?
so.
You don't think
No,
so?
just look at Aaron Rodgers' history.
I think Josh Allen is a guy that maybe gets it done. You talking about Andy calling the plays now? You're talking
You
about
know,
the whole thing just coming over. And I think about some of the stuff that Andy could do with a guy like Josh. I think that would be real
so
fun.
okay, so here's going to be a, and I'm not trying to hate on Josh Allen because, like I said, the Bills don't lose. They're not losing in the playoffs because of him.
Nope.
But when did the Bills get good last year?
I don't. They
If
were
you
good
think
all
about it.
year. They were good all year to me.
No, remember they started off what 2-5, 2-6, somewhere around there.
See, right now we got this Unk and Ocho Cinco thing going on, man. I'm not going to talk shit about them. You're not going to make
No,
me talk shit about them, Unk.
okay, but what I'm saying is this: they didn't get good until they started taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands a little bit and went to more of that running game. Now, Josh might have helped propel them to get the key plays to win, but once they actually shifted their offense away from Josh Allen as much,
I think
that's when
that
they started
any
actually
team,
winning some
I
games.
don't think that's taking it out of Josh's hands so much as
Yeah.
you have to make the offense multidimensional. Like nobody
Uh,
respects you if you can't run the football. Like it's the same with the Chiefs, man. Like when Pacheco came around, that changed that offense.
It did. It did.
So I don't know. I love Josh Allen. You know that. That's our so-called rival, I suppose. I don't really consider him that, but I love Josh Allen, dude. I think he's great, and he's number 11 on the list as far as top paid, which I think is an absolute crime.
But back to what we were talking about before,
Yeah.
though, with paying the quarterbacks. I'm really at a thing to where do you pay a quarterback that top tier money to where you have to get rid of other players off your roster because you paid your QB.
So to
And
get
so,
back to your original question of the Bama model, like I don't think that is going to produce a Super Bowl for you unless you have an absolutely elite defense and a pretty good offense around them.
okay.
Like you got to have
So
weapons.
49ers are my example for that.
I don't think Brock Purdy is a journeyman okay quarterback. I think
Okay, he's not. He's not. But what I'm saying is, what is he getting paid right now?
he's on
What
the
is he
rookie
getting
wage
paid?
scale. We know
Yeah,
that.
and that's my point with it. But that's my point.
That's
Now, when
always
you
been the
have to pay,
model. That's always been the
well,
model. Win the Super Bowl while your quarterback's
yeah.
on the rookie wage scale.
So what my point is,
Until Patrick
okay.
Mahomes, nobody ever did it after they got paid, except
So now,
Tom.
if Josh Purdy comes and when his rookie contract's up and says, "I want 60-something million a year," do you pay him that? If
No,
that's going to cost you
because
3
they'll
or
never
4,
win again.
see, and that's what my point is. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. Because let's just say the 49ers win the Super Bowl next year, or they get back to the Super Bowl and lose again. Josh Allen's contract's up. He says, "I want $50-60 million a year." Now that's going to cost you somewhere else on your roster. It's going to cost you somewhere else on your roster because it has to.
I guess you got to find a guy, and this is harder. This is much easier to say than to do. You got to find a guy like Tom was willing to. He got paid, but he was never the number one guy in the league as far as getting paid. And Patrick Mahomes is following in his footsteps, and that's why he's been successful after the payday, right?
Yep. Exactly,
So,
and I guess that's my point. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Like, if let's just say Dallas has another year the way they have it, they get to the second round of the playoffs again. Dak's an MVP candidate again, based on that, and Dak says, "Hey, I'll stay here for $40 million." I'll be like, "All right, cool. We'll sign you. Let's sign the check."
Yep.
Right around there, $40 million. I'd be okay with that. We'll
What
give
about
you whatever
40,
guarantee.
What about 45? Would you be okay with 45?
45 stretching it. It's stretching it, but it just depends on how the contract's structured, I guess. What are we giving up guaranteed money and how's it going to hold against us and things like that.
You know how
But what I'm
guys are
saying
with
is,
their pride, like they want that AAV number to go up into a certain
yeah,
area.
exactly. And I know, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, if you can't get Dallas out of the second round of the playoffs, I'm not paying you in that top QB money. I don't even know if I want to anyway. If you don't win the Super Bowl or get them to the Super Bowl, it's just
Mhm.
I'd rather keep the rest of the team solid and keep them built, and then
Yep.
take my chances on another quarterback that I view. Yeah, maybe he's not having the stats that Dak has, but maybe in the playoffs he makes the plays I need him to make, and that's what I would want.
So to your point about, because you brought up the 49ers, and I think that's a great example of the old model is to draft a guy, put everyone around him, and win a Super Bowl on the rookie wage scale. But
Correct.
then the downfall of that model has always been, okay, now you got to pay the guy, and you're not going back to the Super Bowl for a while, if ever.
Exactly, and that's what my point is with it. Do you pay that guy at that point whatever he wants, or make him top 2 or 3 paid quarterback, and then you got to lose whatever else you got to lose on your roster, and you got to basically almost rebuild and try to build around this quarterback that's paid that much at that point. And so I guess that's what my point is.
So let me ask you: are you wanting? Is your idea for this? Is your Cowboys to go out and draft a dude to move on to Trey Lance? What's the deal? Because you're paying Trey Lance a boatload of money too.
Trey Lance is actually a free agent at the end of this year, so we'll see what happens with that.
Okay.
But I guess my thing is this: if Dak doesn't get Dallas out of the second round, and then Dak's contract demands are $50 to $60 million a year, I'm letting him go.
Okay.
I'm letting him go. I might try to bring, and if I've been happy with what I've seen in Trey Lance in camp, I'm gonna be like, hey Trey, come on, 2 years, 3-year contract, averaging out to $20 million a year, 25, 30 million a year. You're the QB at that point. I'm willing to give that a shot at that point if I can keep everyone else around that team.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the approach I got. I don't know if you see. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
So there's this thing that's been going around on social media about 2 quarterback stats in the past 30 games. I don't know if you've seen it or not.
I have not.
Okay, so what it is, they show the 2 quarterbacks. They show Dak Prescott's stats over the past 30 games. Win-loss percentage, everything else. They show another quarterback stats, past 30 games. Dak has 1 more win than this QB. Dak has better touchdown passes to interception percentage ratio, more passing yards than this QB. The quarterback is Patrick Mahomes on the other side. And people are trying to say Dak is better than Patrick Mahomes based on that. Exactly. That's my point. So stats to me don't mean everything with it. That's what I'm saying about stats and the quarterback's ability to lead. And so I'm not paying Dak all this money just because his stats are better than Mahomes. Stats don't mean nothing to me in that type of scenario. You know, that's all I'm trying to say with that.
I know, I get it. I mean, that's a preposterous freaking thing to say. Like, because I mean, the difference is clearly one turns it on in the playoffs and one doesn't.
Exactly, and playoffs is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, regular season matters as far as keeping the team, keeping fans happy and relevant throughout the year. Yes, that all that stuff counts and everything else. But I also believe you'll always be relevant if you have everything else around that scenario. I guess I don't know.
I also know the app that you're talking about that people use to compare players or whatever, and I know that people like to cherry pick the stats that they compare to make it this compelling argument, but it's often not when you just look at the straight stat sheet and you look at let's look at it all. Right? Let's look at it all. Let's not look at your cherry pick stats, right? Like,
you know. And that's always been my point with it is, yeah, Dak's stats look really good. Like, his stats look good, but he's building his stats up against the good teams. And that's just my point with him. Because he's building them up. He's building them up against the good teams. When he takes on a team like the Bills, he took on the 49ers this past year, his stats were not there. The plays that he needed to make weren't there. And everyone brings up the Packers playoff game. He threw for 464 yards. Who cares once you're down 40-13 in the fourth quarter how many yards you pass for, man?
Yeah, how many of those yards were in garbage time when they were
Yeah,
playing a more lax or more back style defense?
yeah. No one cares
They're
at that point.
dropping back.
You didn't make the plays when you needed to make them, and so
Mhm. Yeah, so just for reference, I went ahead and pulled this up on the website that you're talking about that makes all these
mhm.
comparisons, and like people really like to kind of cherry pick the results here because if you look at it unaltered, this is what you get. And the darker ones are obviously, hey, this is he's better at that. So
Yeah,
if you look at it, it's almost all Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
Like
But like I said, they went to just the last 30 games. I think is what it's capped off
right,
at for the
exactly. They altered it to fit their narrative, which is silly. Like when you really compare them, they have about the same amount of games. I mean, one has actually Dak has more games, so he really should be leading in almost everything, but he's not.
yeah. I mean,
So
heck, Patrick Mahomes has more playoffs wins in this last playoff season than Dak does for his whole career. I mean, come on.
yeah, you can really just stop there, right? Full stop.
Yes. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That's the answer to everything right there, as
Yep,
far as that goes. But
for
yeah,
sure.
as far as Dallas goes, I already told you, man. I'm still going to be hyped for him. I'm still going to root for Dak. I'm not going to hate on him or anything like that. He's the quarterback. He's my quarterback. I'll defend him as often as I can, but I'll also hate on him when it's time to hate on the guy. Um, I tell all my Eagles friends because we got some in here, and all my other haters. I'm like, there's nothing you can there is nothing you can say that I haven't already said. The stuff that you're hating on, I've already said it, man. So there ain't nothing you can say at that
you
point.
know, one last thing about the Dak and Patrick Mahomes comparison, because I just happened to pull this up. This website that I had pulled up has the ability to separate playoff stats.
Uh-huh.
Just so we're clear, Patrick Mahomes has played and started a full 18 games in the playoffs. He has 5,135 yards passing in 18 games in the playoffs, 67% completion percentage, 41 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. And when you compare that to Dak's playoff numbers, they're not even in the same stratosphere. Right? It's not even close.
How many interceptions does Dak have on that list?
7 interceptions in his 7 games.
Exactly. Exactly. And so that's
You know, so
people can
and you
say
look
whatever
at
they want to say about Dak.
the attempts, and Patrick Mahomes has 400 more attempts in the playoffs than him, and only one more interception.
And I can tell you, Dak's interceptions in the playoffs aren't flukes. They're bad passes.
Right,
They're not like tip balls. They're bad passes. And so that's
right.
just the bottom line. But like I said, Cowboys will be 17-0 next year, but I don't promise anything they're going to do in the playoffs.
So
After that.
let's pretend like that's not true. And what happens when next year comes around? Are you guys drafting a quarterback? Is that what you want in your dream world? If you
Oh
guys
yeah,
don't win the Super Bowl,
we got Shador Sanders lined up.
all
Done
right,
deal.
all right, all
Shador
right. I
Sanders
like
is the next
Shador,
Cowboys
man.
quarterback.
Dude,
So
I
do
like
I.
Shador. I like Shador. So that
So I
would
mean,
be cool.
it's set up, locked in. Jerry's already talked to Dion about it. Dion said he's not having Shador play at some certain schools. In fact, we're going to probably have Shador and Travis Hunter. I don't know how it's going to happen, but we're getting them both, man. I don't know
I
how it's going to
noticed.
happen.
I noticed that Dion didn't put KC on the approved list for Travis, and I was not happy with that because he don't want him to play at a cold place. I'm like, Dion, shut up, man. I love you,
Yep.
Dion. I really do, but shut up, bro. If he wants to come play in KC, he can play in KC. Let him be. So I love
I
Travis
mean,
Hunter.
yeah.
That dude's my draft crush for this coming year,
Yeah, we will be set. We will be good to go.
for
And
sure.
living it up. We'll be living it up well.
Right on. So, I know you guys didn't make a lot of free agents moves or anything like that. Anything you were excited about the offseason with the Cowboys other than what we've talked about?
I mean, they brought Zimmer in. I'm 50-50 on him. I thought they could have went a different direction on that. We'll see what he does as a defensive coordinator. sitting back there for the Cowboys. Sorry, dogs are acting up in the back a little bit.
He's trying to tell you about something. He's like right there close to you, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a little bit on the other side of the room, but yeah.
Yeah, he's looking at you like, hey, what are you doing?
It'll be nice to have Diggs back.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to have Trayvon Diggs back. I'm mostly curious to see how Mike Zimmer uses Micah Parsons on the defensive side. I thought Dallas should have moved him around a little bit more than kept him on the end of the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
I think the defense will be more solid as far as not giving up big plays, probably more solid against the run. Is kind of what I anticipate a little bit more with Zimmer, where Dan Quinn kind of relied on, I'm going to take more chances and go for turnovers a little bit more, teach you guys to be a little bit more aggressive. So I think that'll be a little bit of a switch there for that Dallas Cowboys defense. A lot's going to depend on the Michigan man. His name's escaping me right now, the defensive tackle that Dallas drafted last year with their first pick, Mozzie Smith, that Dallas drafted last year. See if he lost a bunch of weight last year. He lost like 30 pounds last year. I know they're trying to put the weight back on him to get him to play D tackle.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was a kind of a zero technique or nose tackle for everybody else.
Yeah.
He was 335 or something like that when you guys drafted him.
Yeah, and he was down to 285, 290 or something like that throughout the season.
Hell.
So I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know what happened to him. So hopefully he turns around. Linebacker room, Overshawn will be back for Dallas. He tore his ACL last year in the offseason. They had some big hopes from him, but I always still say an ACL is kind of almost a 2-year injury. I know people come back in a year. I still think it's almost a 2-year injury for people to fully come back from that. And then offensively,
Adrian Peterson messed that up for everybody.
Yeah, he did. Everyone thinks people come back like AP. He was a fluke. He was a freak of nature, man.
Yeah, the dude's a freak.
I mean, running back wise, it's going to be a running back by committee. Believe it or not, Deuce Vaughn is actually on the cut list right now, right, sitting for Dallas, unless he does something.
Good.
So see what happens with him. I know you want him to come to KC. I know you want that. I know you want him there. So I'm curious on what Dallas ends up doing with him. And still got Cooks and CeeDee Lamb. Tight end. Offense is still going to be solid. I just want the offense to be able to run the ball better. And the thing I'm going to like with having Zeke there is Zeke's going to be able to get at least the tough yardage on short yardage downs, which Pollard could not do. So that's what I'm looking forward to on that. And I think Dallas kind of brought Zeke back to be like, hey, it's either Super Bowl or you and Dak are gone. We brought you in together. We're going to send you out together one way or the other. It's kind of how I think Dallas is almost looking at that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, we'll see. And then I've actually heard rumors Jerry's actually considering selling the team. So we'll see what happens in the offseason with that.
What the hell?
Yeah. I don't know how accurate the rumor was, but I've heard I saw an article that popped up said he's in serious consideration of selling the Cowboys to a Saudi-based team, Saudi-based owner. So I don't know.
What the hell are we doing, man? Why wouldn't we pass that on to our kids and all that?
Probably because that Saudi team is going to probably come with about a $50 billion offer or whatever more than that. But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it. Maybe his kids aren't interested in running a team, or being the owner. Yep. Maybe they just want to. Who knows what the negotiations are like? If that's really truly happening, it might be a thing where his son just wants to be like the president and run football operations and doesn't want to run the business side. Who knows? And then you can sell the team and maybe work out a deal where your kid is the president of football operations or something like that. And, oh, here you go. By the way, here's your $1 billion inheritance.
So, yeah, I just double-checked it. It's saying it's an outlandish rumor about him selling it. Like I said, I saw an article that popped up, but so I didn't know how accurate that article was. But I just read a thing said it's just a huge rumor that's out there with it. But you just never know. I said when we talked earlier this season, I think this is Jerry's last hurrah as a Cowboys owner. So
yeah, he's
or at least being in full control of the Cowboys, I should say. Pass it on to his son or something like that. But I think this is his last hurrah.
He's getting up there for sure, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's next? What do you want to talk about next?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the WNBA real quick. Don't have to take long on this, but Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are two rookies that are actually doing their thing in the WNBA.
Yeah.
I know there's a top debate about who's going to be Rookie of the Year. And I don't want people to think that I'm just about the rookies, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. I've been following the WNBA for a while and stuff like that. I know the New York Liberty were a top team. We're the top dogs. I don't know. I think record wise they still are. The Aces, of course, are the two-time defending champs and things like that. But let's just be honest with it. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have brought eyes to the WNBA. Mostly Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has done that, so there's no doubt about that. But just recently, Angel Reese set the double-double record for most consecutive double-doubles in the WNBA. And that's just more than a rookie. That's all time, most consecutive doubles. I think her streak continued today. She had 13 and 11 rebounds, or 13 rebounds, 11 points today. So that streak continues. Caitlin Clark became the first ever rookie to get a triple-double in her last game for the Indiana Fever. So, I mean, Rookie of the Year, Angel Reese is averaging 14 points, 12 boards, 2 assists. Caitlin Clark's at 16 points, 7.5 assists, 1.4 steals a game. Both of them have their teams playing better than what they should. In your opinion, who would you think Rookie of the Year would be?
So I just want to say I'm going to be a little more abrasive than you about this issue, because I'm just going to be completely honest. As somebody that isn't as into women's basketball as you have been, and you've been talking to me about women's basketball for a while, and I'll just kind of talk as maybe like the fan that, maybe a more average fan that has been brought in by Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And I love both of those girls a lot. I like both of them for different reasons. I think they're fun to watch. I think they're bringing in people to the game. And I think it's unfortunate some of the controversy that's gone on all season with some of the veterans that are clearly having a little bit of an ego issue. With the rookies maybe outshining them as far as who's paying attention to them and all that. I think, just to be honest, all those girls, I get it. I get where the ego is coming from. Those girls are saying, hey, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been professional basketball players for a long time. We've been doing this way longer than them. Yeah, but not as good. So sorry. I'm real sorry about your feelings, but you're not as good as them. You just aren't. They're already setting a whole bunch of records. Like Angel Reese, like you said, she's setting all kinds of crazy records with double-doubles that have never been set in the history of WNBA, and she's a rookie. Like, that shouldn't even – when was the last time could you even imagine a rookie coming into the NBA and setting the consecutive double-double record? Like, it ain't happening.
Not happening.
Not going to happen. And then Caitlin Clark, she's out here. She's 33% from three-point, and she's scoring 16 points a game, and she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But if it was me, I might have to give it to Caitlin Clark, but it's real close, like real close. I like both the girls. I think you could make an argument for either one of them. I would point out that Angel Reese is shooting 41% from the field. Obviously, that's a function of her position. She's playing more in the paint than Caitlin is. But I like both of them for different reasons. Like I said, pulling for both of them, happy for both of them. I think all the other veterans and all the nonsense with the, maybe they're getting a little ridiculous, a little rough with Caitlin especially. It's like stupid. Shut up, man. Because here's the deal. More people are watching your sport. More people are supporting your sport. More people are tuning in. More people are buying the WNBA package for $30 or whatever. And guess what? That's going to turn into more money for you. So be quiet. Get your ego
most
out
definitely. Because the WNBA gets to renegotiate their the players get to renegotiate their collective bargaining agreement, I believe, after next season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a really big point for the WNBA and the players. I mean, right now I go Caitlin Clark right now as Rookie of the Year, just because teams adjust their game plan right now when they play Caitlin Clark. They put their best defender on her, and she's drawing the most attention. So just based on that, and there's no knock on Angel Reese because she's actually played a lot better than I thought she would here in the WNBA. So I'm giving her much credit and much props on that. She's playing a lot better than I actually thought she would. But yeah, Caitlin Clark would be Rookie of the Year. Now, you brought up the part of the jealousy and the ego issues for these WNBA players.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the media's made a big deal about the fouls Caitlin Clark has had.
Yeah.
These fouls is the women's.
They play rough.
The best comparison I heard is women's basketball is like the NFL was in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
where it's a more physical game, or more like the NBA was in the 80s. It's a more physical game. They allow more contact. They do those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
People made a big deal about Diana Taurasi's comments where she said basically it's a whole nother level when you get to the WNBA. And it is. Every rookie goes through it. Caitlin Clark's playing well.
Yeah.
But to me, Diana Taurasi's point was just she's not going to be playing against 18-year-olds that can't guard her anymore. She's going to be playing against grown women. And she never said anything to knock Caitlin Clark's game. She just said there's an adjustment period. That's like her full quote is there's an adjustment time that's going to happen. And it happens with every WNBA rookie. And they're going to get physical and they're going to take some shots. Do I think some women have done some cheap shots on her? Yeah, I'll say that.
We talked about that and how we feel like maybe the teammates need to be a little more involved in that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, that was my biggest thing was where Caitlin Clark's teammates at to get in the face of that girl that pushed her. But then I saw another scuffle break out, and Caitlin Clark's teammates were getting in a scuffle, and Caitlin Clark walked off. So then I was like, well, all right. So I was like, if you're a teammate, you ain't going to be quick to help her out either at that point. So, I mean, it's got to go both ways with it. And I'm not saying Caitlin Clark needed to jump in the middle of a fight. But the way her body language was, where she just basically turned her back to the fight and walked off. And I know she's thinking about image and everything else to that effect with it.
Well, and her teammates have, I don't know, like her teammates have turned their backs on her a few times, which I don't think is okay.
Exactly. And that's just my point with it. But the WNBA is just a physical game. I'm going to try to get to some games in the next year or two for sure. For some of these games, because I just enjoy women's basketball. I had a daughter that grew up playing basketball. Yep. She's actually would be Caitlin Clark's class cool. As far as graduation goes. And that's kind of why I'm so into this class of rookies that are around right now, is because I watched my daughter grow up. She didn't play against these girls or anything like that, but it's the same class grade that my daughter would have been in, same age and everything else. So I'm just really intrigued by watching this group and everything. And
like, just think, if Kobe's daughter was still alive, rest in peace, you know.
Oh my gosh, yes. With her getting ready, and Kobe was a big advocate for women's basketball, and I think it'd be a lot bigger than where it's at now if he was still alive.
Yep.
With that, people have a whole different approach with it.
Gianna was about to bring it.
Yep.
But to your point about the game is rough and all that, that's not necessarily what I was getting at. I'm tired of the talk off the court about these two girls and the rookies. And you know what? I would even include, who's the big, tall, blonde girl? I forget her name right now.
She's out with the torn ACL. Cameron Brink. Cameron Brink.
She was playing great. Yep. She plays for LA, right?
Yep, plays for the Sparks.
Yeah. So to make my point and kind of wrap it all up in a nice bow, like I don't like that they're saying all this stuff off the court and then, oh, it's a different game and all this. And then I saw a video. I was trying to find it over here to show it. But I saw a video where these same girls that were like, oh, it's a different level and this, that, and yada, yada, yada. And they say all this stuff. And then the media was there to ask them about it. And they blew the media off. And they didn't want to answer the question.
Okay, yeah.
Well, shut up then. Shut your mouth then. Because that's not what the NBA gets to do. That's not what the NBA gets to do. You want your sport to be popular? You want people to watch? This is how it works. You're going to have people with microphones in your face and asking you about the comments that you said at the press conference the other day, and asking you about Caitlin Clark, and asking you about yada, 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 or whatever. And I forget who it was. It was one of the girls on Chicago that had ran her mouth, and then she didn't.
It was Angel Reese.
Was it Angel?
I know a question. It was Angel Reese and
One of
Kristen
her
Clark, Kristen Carter. Kristen Carter.
it
She's the
was
one that
Kristen
pushed her in the.
Carter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the one that pushed her. She's the one that pushed what's her name, Caitlin Clark in the back on that
Mm-hmm.
cheap foul, and
Yep.
Angel Reese got up and clapped, and then they
Mm-hmm.
blew off the media after that game and didn't talk about anything, and then went on social media and said things after that. But they
Yeah,
did
you can
get
do that.
fined. They did get fined by the WNBA for
Good.
skipping out on that.
Good.
So
You can't do that. Was that the video? I'm wondering if it's the same video I was thinking about, because it was them like walking in, I think, to a game or walking out of a game, one of the two, and the media kind of was coming up to them on the street and trying to get. They were asking pretty respectful questions, in my opinion. It wasn't like they were being jerk faces or anything like that. They were asking reasonable questions to you about stuff that you had said and about the game, and you blew them off and kind of said, "I don't want to talk to you." That's not how it works, man. If you want
Yeah.
the WNBA to be big, then you got to deal with it being big.
Yeah, and that's been the downside that some of these women. I don't want to say all the women or anything like that, because like I said, there's been some great women that have been playing this game, and they're good with what the stuff that's going on in there. Like
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart, she's been awesome as far as I've
Yeah.
seen. Asia Wilson, she's been the
Mhm.
league MVP and will probably be league MVP again.
Mhm.
I've never heard her. I haven't heard her say anything bad or anything like that. She's just rolling with it and just taking advantage of what she can take advantage of
Just
with
do
everything.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
I think
So
it's the people that are opening their mouth. I think they're threatened by Caitlin and Angel Reese. They're threatened because they're threatened by talent.
I don't necessarily think it's the talent. I truly don't think it's because they're talented. I think it's because people, to me, it's kind of what you said. It's like, we've been doing this. We can
Mhm.
play ball too. It ain't
Mhm.
just about her. And it's naturally going to bring up some jealousy. It's going to bring it up.
Yeah, but nobody was watching you. You
No,
weren't
I
good
don't
enough
disagree.
You know what I mean? I hate to say it that way. I'm not trying to be a dick, but you weren't good enough to bring anybody to watch you. Like, that was the problem with the WNBA. The NBA has subsidized the WNBA for what, decades now. Like, they've paid the bills for the WNBA for decades. You're not paying your own bills. Some of the best WNBA basketball players make $200,000 a year. Most of them make more like 100,000 or less.
Yep.
And that's because nobody comes to watch you. It's not for any inequality purposes or anything like that. It's because if you want to get paid, you have to have advertisers that are buying space. And for that, you need eyes on your basketball games. And Caitlin
Correct.
Clark and Angel Reese are bringing that. And now you're like running people off, in my opinion, because I bought the WNBA package. I was watching them, and I really like Chicago. I've been watching Chicago. I think they got a kind of an electric team to watch. But when you whine and all that stuff, it starts to turn me off, and I stop watching.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing. I can see how that goes for people. I like the trash talking personally because I just think that's more of what sports is. So I don't mind the trash talking or anything like that. I just wish they would just own it.
Is that how you see it? Do you view it as trash talk? Because I don't.
I view it as I truly view it as trash talk. There's some whining in it. I view it more as trash talk though. I view it more as trash talk and them saying some girls, some of the women, I don't want to call them girls, some of the women saying, "Hey, where's my shine too?" It's just more of that. Where's my shine?
Go get it.
Shining on me. But I'll be honest, when you watch a game, you can tell the difference between Caitlin Clark and some of these other women that are out there playing. Caitlin Clark's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. Like, she has skills that these other women just don't have. Like, even Angel Reese. Angel Reese plays hard and she's a dominant player. For me, it's not overly fun watching her play. You know what I mean? She's gonna crash the boards and get rebounds and put it back in. But
I want to make a point because we've seen like really great female basketball players, women basketball players, Leslie Lobos, right? Like, there's been great ones in the past that were fantastic basketball players. But to me, the difference between this generation and those past generations of great female basketball players was this generation has a lot of personality. It's more fun to watch.
Yes.
it's closer to the men's game because there's personality. Caitlin's fun to watch, like you said. I think Angel's fun to watch because she's got a little attitude on her, and I like that. I like that she'll snap at somebody. I like that she makes facial expressions. I like that she gets excited. That's fun to watch. It's not, the women's game, the knock on it, and always the jokes and all the memes were always, oh, let's go watch women's basketball. They're super fundamental. you know, like if I'm gonna watch basketball and not get to see anybody dunk, I better see some attitude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Like, I think if there was more of that to where it felt more rivals, then I think people would tune in a little bit more. But I'm excited to see what the future comes. I know people were mad Caitlin Clark didn't make the Olympic team. I'll just do one quick take on that really fast.
Yeah.
Did she deserve to make the Olympic team? I say no, because she never made the trials for the previous 2 years. So did she deserve to make it? No. Now, if they wanted eyes and attention for the women's basketball game, should she be on the Olympic team? I say yes to that lookout for it, because you're going to draw more eyes to where the women that are playing with her is going to get more attention. And the proof in the pudding on that is Aaliyah Boston, who I don't think is a great WNBA player. She's solid. I don't think she's a great WNBA
Rookie
player.
of the year last year.
I know, but should she have been third in All-Star voting is my question.
No.
Exactly. But because there's eyes there, Caitlin Clark brings fandom. They're like, oh, Leah Boston, let's vote for her as well. So she finished third in the All-Star voting. And that's what I mean by I hate to say it, it's the Caitlin Clark effect. I hate to call it that, but that's what that is.
I mean, if it's an effect caused by her, what else are you going to call it? I mean,
yeah, no, I mean that's what it is, and I'm like, so I mean that's if the women in the for the Olympic, if the Olympic Committee wanted more eyes on there, and I'm not saying Caitlin Clark deserved to be there because she didn't get to go to any of the tryouts for the previous 2 years because the tryouts happened to be going on during the Final Four, so she was playing in it.
That's no fault on her,
No, it's not, but you can't take away from the women that had been there going through the system for the previous 2 years. So I got it. I understood it. But like I said, if they wanted the eyes there to help promote the women's game, to me, you could have put her on the team. They could have.
She's number 13 in the WNBA in points per game. She's number 2 in assists per game.
Yep.
Is she not one of the best women's basketball players in the whole world?
No, I'm not saying she's not. Some of it's a product of who she's running, who her teammates are, because she ain't got the team that the Vegas Aces do. Like, her numbers wouldn't be that. They could. The points per game could probably be better if she was with the Vegas Aces, but she wouldn't have the assist. But then again, her teammates be making more shots, so maybe she would have the assist. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, for sure. Because, sometimes when I watch her, she'll make a great dish and like somebody just completely blows a shot.
Missed the layup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that.
But yeah, that's just my quick take on the WNBA.
Like, from my brief time of watching the WNBA as much as I have recently, I will say that there's more of a skill gap from the top players in the WNBA to the bottom players in the WNBA.
There definitely
men's
is
basketball or whatever,
No, they're definitely. I don't know if the gap. Yeah, I got it. The gap is there. But I think it's going to close. The next
you look
few
at
years,
women like
it's going to close.
I hope so, and I think as the sport grows and more girls become interested in it and they're watching it and they put more into it as teenagers and stuff like that, the game is only going to grow. Hopefully it'll develop and get more and more exciting and better talented, and like we'll find more female athletes that are interested now because people are watching it. So I think it's got good things in front of it in the future, and I hope nothing but the best for them. I just also think that, they need to accept that, a big part of the reason is Caitlin Clark, whether you like that or not.
No, most definitely. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the WNBA for right now. We can get into it more once the season keeps going and gets into the playoffs and things like that. Because like I said, we're going to be doing more shows. So hopefully everyone's
And
going to keep tuning in and listening up to what we got going on.
for sure, man. And one last thing I'll say on this is like one thing that I've done is watching this. Like I've found some more players in the WNBA and discovered some of them. And I'm a huge Aja Wilson fan, man. Like I someday we need to talk about her because that woman not only is she an amazing basketball player, she's also beautiful.
There's a lot of beautiful women in the WNBA. There really is.
Yes, yes.
And one broken NFL player's heart made him retire.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm with him.
Yeah.
What's next, dude?
All right. I just wanted you to take. You're a Lakers fan. We've never really had a chance for you to vent about the Lakers. You're not a huge LeBron fan. I wanted to give you just a couple moments to talk about the Lakers. They drafted Bronny James, brought in LeBron's son to that squad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you just a couple moments to vent about why you're not as big on the Lakers. And you're not the only person I know. I've came across a few other Laker fans that just are not fans of what LeBron has done to this team or anything like that. So I just wanted your take on why your feelings are this way about the Lakers.
Well, first, I mean, you have to acknowledge greatness, and LeBron is obviously a great player. I think he's solidly the third best player in the history of the NBA. And no, I'm not. That's not a undermined or underhanded compliment or anything like that. I just legitimately believe that number 3 is where he belongs all time, behind Michael Jordan and then Kobe. I just don't like all the other extra stuff. Like, I don't think he has, number one, the killer instinct. I don't think he ever has had the killer instinct that, I mean, we all know when we were watching Michael Jordan and it was about to go down and you got that feeling of, oh, he's not going to let them lose. This ain't happening tonight. Michael Jordan is going to win this game by himself. And we saw that how many times? All the time. You saw it. He would just put that face on, and you had dudes that wouldn't even say hello to him before the game because they knew he was going to twist that into some weird thing where he was going to say he slighted me and he was going to have the game of his life against him because this dude said hello. LeBron doesn't have that. LeBron doesn't have that. You know who had that? Kobe had that. Kobe had that when he put that jersey in the mouth, right? And you start looking, oh, Kobe's biting the jersey. He's going to go win this game. Like, those two, that's the difference between those two guys and LeBron, in my opinion. And LeBron is a lot about me, and he seems to be a leader that doesn't have very good leadership skills, in my opinion. Like, he doesn't take a lot of ownership. I don't see him saying, you know what, this is my fault. This is a me problem. I'm going to fix it. It's always, whether it's out loud or behind the scenes, it's always, I need this around me or I need that around me. I want this guy. I want that guy. And you end up with a bunch of LeBron players around you that are aging at this point. And then you got a team that's not built right to win a championship. And then Anthony Davis is just as bad. I love Anthony Davis, man. Like, it hurts my heart to see Anthony Davis not live up to what I believe his full potential is. But the dude's not on the court enough. He's a little bit soft. I'm just done with this iteration of the Lakers. I'm ready for it to be over. I would like to restart. And if you look back, what's crazy is if you look back at the young Lakers that we traded away, like, a lot of those dudes are playing really well. And what if you had just kept some of those dudes and put somebody else other than LeBron around them?
Well, what if you kept him and had LeBron around him? I mean, they were there with LeBron. They were there with LeBron for a year.
Well, and that's the thing. They were with LeBron for a year, and then LeBron wanted AD.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's the point. Like, you traded all these dudes away because LeBron wanted this and LeBron wanted that, and he couldn't wait 5 seconds for these guys to develop or, God forbid, be a leader and develop them himself. He wants an instant satisfaction, instant gratification. It's all these young guys you got around me. That's why I can't win. And then they went and got AD, and then they won a championship in 2020 with an asterisk by it, which whether you believe it's an asterisk or not, that's just kind of the way it is. That's the way everybody talks about it. I don't think any championship has an asterisk by it, but I don't know, man. Like, I'm just done with it. I don't like what they've done this offseason. They've done next to nothing. They re-signed a young guy, which I like. I haven't seen – honestly, I don't watch the Lakers that much anymore, and it's because of frustration of LeBron. And I don't know. He just comes off as a selfish person to me, as a selfish player. And, like, I don't know. Like, is he great? Yeah, for sure. Do you disagree with any of that? Am I off base?
You're not off base in my opinion about LeBron overall. I just had this recent conversation with one of my cousins. Because he's not a huge LeBron guy either. He puts LeBron in his top 5 of all time.
Fair.
But that's where he puts him at. And the conversation that we had was, and this is what I said. I was like, if you had to go to a lab and you had to build a basketball player, you would build LeBron James.
Perhaps.
As far as
basketball
players
go. I would argue I would build Antetokounmpo or Antetokounmpo.
Giannis, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm talking about, like, if you talk about even the skills full package wise.
Yeah.
To me you would build LeBron. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's 6'9", has the handles, developed a jumper, all that stuff, especially with the mind of the game of basketball. Giannis plays really hard, but I'm talking about, like, if you take their packages all together between LeBron and Giannis, you would build LeBron James as a basketball player when you talk about total package.
Yeah.
The fact that you got a guy that can go to the NBA Finals for 10 straight years, 9 or 10 straight years, and you can actually have an argument about if he's the best or not, that's why he's not the best.
Yep.
That's my whole thing.
Bingo.
That, to me, is why he's not the greatest. Because you can carry a legit argument on why he isn't the greatest basketball player of all time.
I've never felt like a comparison to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant was the right comparison for him anyway. I always felt like the comparison was Magic. Because
me too.
The dude is a point guard. Let's be real, he's a point guard.
Yes.
And if you look at him as a point guard instead of a small forward or edge player, a wing player, then all of a sudden everything changes and you're like, oh, well, you compare him to Magic and it's like, yeah, it might be better than Magic. Probably is better than Magic.
I'm trying to think, if I think about the rings, does he have just as many as Magic or does Magic have one more?
Shame on me. I'm a Lakers fan. I should know, but I think
LeBron has 4. I know that. I think they're tied because Kobe's the next step up with 5 in that kind of group.
Yep. So, yeah, that's my thing. Is I've always thought that was the more appropriate comparison was Magic Johnson, and there's nothing wrong with that. Magic Johnson is one of the greatest basketball players to ever breathe.
Yep. But maybe your Lakers will tear it all down, get the number 1 pick in the draft, trade everybody away, and get Cooper Flag.
Well, excuse the crap out of me. Magic has 5, dude. Magic has 5.
Does he have 5? Okay.
80, 82, 85, 87, and 88.
87, 88. Yep. Those. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's not, that LeBron doesn't have 5.
Yep.
So.
Have you seen the next best prospect, number 1 pick in next year's draft?
I have not. What's his name?
NBA? Cooper Flag.
Cooper Flag.
Going to be going to Duke next year.
Oh, God. Oh, no. No, dude. I hate Christian Laettner, number 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, what they're saying about this guy, he just actually practiced against Team USA, and they're saying he actually lit him up pretty good. He didn't line him up, but they said he did his thing. There's a lot of articles coming out about his practice against Team USA just recently, and they're saying This dude's legit. Yeah, they're saying he's legit.
17 years old, 6'8". All right. Well, I'm gonna have to catch up on this dude, man. I could just see this. You know how many comparisons to Christian Laettner this guy's going to get?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get some. Like, just because he's going to Duke. He's going to get some because he's going to Duke. No doubt about that. But he's a different skill set than Christian Laettner, so that's why it's going to be a little bit tough comparison. He's a different skill set. He's supposed to be the real deal. He's supposed to be Like he's supposed to be undoubt, without question, the number one pick in the draft next year. Already.
Really?
Yeah, he's already listed as the number one pick in the draft for next year.
Elite two-way prospect. Let's see. It says he's an elite two-way prospect. His instincts are off the charts, both ends of the floor, and he competes with a quiet type killer instinct. He's a defensive standout, particularly dominant off-ball defender. He's good of an underclassman shot blocker, offensively excellent passer with a good good foundation of early skills, developing playmaking ability. Footwork is excellent. His shooting and handling are both good and continuously improving. Huh. Interesting. All right, I have to learn more about this guy.
Yep. Just
Cooper
look
Flag.
him up and just check him out. He's supposed to be the top prospect, and supposedly he had a really good practice game against Team USA in a scrimmage where he did his thing. The college kids only lost to Team USA by 1 point, I guess, from what I understand.
What the hell? What the hell?
So, yeah.
What are we doing? Hey, can we since you brought this up, can we talk about USA football?
Man, people probably don't even know there's a national USA football team that's losing.
Exactly. So we're not going to mention any certain names that we might know that are connected to that. But just on the topic itself, this team that got beat by Japan and Austria,
I think, was the other team.
Look, man, it's all over social media, and everybody's trying to dunk on the USA for being beat at their own sport and all that stuff. Let's be real, man. Nothing against the kids that went out there to represent the United States. I do not want to put down a player. But they are nowhere near the top 20 and under kids in the United States.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, most of those kids they're already at college doing their thing. Yeah. So they're not going to be going out for that Team USA.
Our top 800-something kids are busy doing something else.
Yeah, they're in college preparing. Colleges aren't letting their kids go play. They're not letting their players go play for Team USA, especially with NIL now and everything else. They're not letting them do that. No. So is there a way to fix that tournament? Is there a way to make it more realistic, or is that just something we're going to have to deal with? I think it's just what it is. You only give the kids 2 weeks to play against each other. Basically, I think you even have to pay a fee to play on this Team USA team. So it's not even like they're going out really selecting you. You pay for it, if I remember from everything I've understood with it. Mm-hmm. So it's yeah. So I don't know. I don't think there's any real way to fix it.
Yeah, I don't want to go any further into that. But I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and this person was bragging about one of her friend's kids that got picked up by this all-star game that's held in, I won't even say where because I don't want to get in trouble. It's held in a very nice vacation area that is
talking about Australia.
No, it's in. I'll just say it's in Hawaii. It's in Hawaii.
Okay, all right.
So she was bragging to me about her friend's kid that got picked up and is going to this all-star game in Hawaii, and it's all this big thing, and he's gonna get recruited and this, that, and the other thing. And dude, it's another one of those things, man, where the kid had to pay $4,000 to go play in this game, and dude, it's a money grab. It's a money grab.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that in football right now, and I guess you and I probably got to be a little bit careful about what we say, but there's some people out there that are, at the very least, not being completely upfront about their opportunity that they're providing. Is that accurate?
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So
all right, man. Last big thing is college football. NCAA for EA Sports comes out. What do we say? July 19th is the release date on that.
July 19th.
Sure you're already on the.
Yep. July 19th.
You're already on the list, I'm sure.
I'm pre-ordered. So I get access on Tuesday, the 16th. Yep. Tuesday the 16th. So Wednesday morning football practice is going to be hell for me or it might be fine because I might just stay up all night. That might be fun, and then just go crash after practice.
Mm-hmm. Or because you're gonna have to download the game, you might as well just set it up for download while you're at practice, so when you get back.
No, it'll be pre-downloaded. You can pre-download so that you can play on release minute. The minute it releases, man, I'm gonna be sitting there like I already have it. Like, okay, I'm ready. Will it go? Will it go? Yeah, man. It brings me back. It's a little bit childish, I guess, but some of us are. I mean, it's okay to be a kid sometimes. So,
no, it definitely is.
Yeah. I used to be back in the day when I was in the Air Force, man. As a young guy, I joined the Air Force at 17, and all the guys like in my dorms, we were all big into Madden and college football. And back in the day, you didn't download games; you went to Walmart, right, or you went to the game store, you went to whatever, and you bought the game. And a lot of us were so into it, man, that we would take leave on the day that it came out because it was always like a Tuesday, I think, is the way I remember, Tuesday or Thursday, and because that's when games came out. So we would take leave those 2 days, and like we'd go to Walmart and we'd wait in line for the release, and you get that fresh package, man, and you get in the car, drive home, and you just couldn't wait to open up the game and put it in your system and beat your friend and all that kind of cool stuff. So a little bit of nostalgia going on there. I'm sure I'll be somewhat disappointed or let down because it's EA Sports, but right now I'm living the high, dude. Just trying to relive my youth of, I can't wait to play this game. Sounds like it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'll definitely play it. Anytime I even had between Madden and NCAA, I used to do online Madden leagues. That was pretty much my extent of playing Madden because the franchise mode in Madden was okay, but it was just always more fun doing an online league and things like that. So I used to really be into that. And I've cut back on that. I haven't bought Madden in about 2 years, I want to say. But college football, even without playing online, there's nothing like building a dynasty team on college football.
It's so awesome.
I don't know what it is. There's nothing about just going out and having to do the recruiting of the players and doing that type of thing, getting all that set up. I heard the online dynasty mode is going to be deep to where they're going to be having the transfer portal and players wanting to transfer out from your school and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it. I will get the game. I don't plan on doing any online leagues, but you never know. I don't plan on it, but I mean, if it's good.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble, man. I promise I won't be like, hey, we got a league. We got a really good league. I don't even know how I'm going to fit in my league because I know we're going to have a league. Me and my friends have been talking about it for a while. And, we've already discussed that we're all starting as coordinators. We're all starting at very small schools, and we're going to work our way up. We're talking from the bottom of the NCAA on up. So I'm super stoked about it, but yeah, it'll be a lot of fun, man. Either way, even if it's not as good as advertised, it's still going to be a lot of fun for just me and my buddies and getting together and playing a little football and talking some trash. I don't know how I'm going to fit it into my life because I got a very busy life, but we're going to do it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But I mean, it's a game that's going to be fun. Might be some other things that might have to slip off on the side. And when I say things that might slip off the side, probably sleep is what's going to slip off.
Right. That's all we have to give up right now, man, is sleep, dude. So screw it.
Yeah, it'll probably be sleep that slides off. Just to make sure I can have that fun time playing that game.
I'm actually going to try to see if I can get at least a couple of. So I do know a couple of the players on the K-State roster. I'm going to try to see if I can get them to play. And then I got a couple of Division II coaches that I'm friendly with, and I'm going to see if I can get them to play as well. So we might have a really freaking cool dynasty going for a while. So
that'd be cool if we could get that.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, man, and probably going to wrap it up here in a minute. But I wanted to end with a question for whoever, and then I don't want to be rude. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm good to go, man. We've been going, and I'm good for the day.
Okay, so I want to end with a question to the people that watch this. If you made it this far, we will know because you can hit us in the comments and answer this question. Would you have any interest in us doing a little bit of a show and kind of discussing college football recruiting and how that works? Would there be any interest in that? If there is, let us know in the comments. Hit us with a like, share, all that kind of good stuff. If we see some interest for maybe a dive into how college recruiting actually works, we're going to reach out to some people and see if we can make that happen. And even if we can't get guests on, you and I both have a pretty good understanding of how college recruiting works, and we can talk about that educated and intelligently.
Yes, most definitely.
So, yeah, man, that's it. I think. Do you have anything? Let's end it with your saying, man. You always have a thing for the
Yep,
people.
man. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Remember who you are. Take care of everybody. Just spread the kindness around. Goes a long way.
All right, this was a fun one, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad we're back, dude. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah.